I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I've been living with this Garmin Edge 200 for like 4 years, maybe 5. And I'm only realizing this week, well, not realizing, but I've only learnt this week how to actually upload a course and use it as a GPS. See, I've only ever used it as something to like hold data and like tell me what like the ride was like and just give me a little bit of what's going on while riding, like average speed. This is basically all I really cared about. It's kind of an expensive thing to have just to tell you that. You can buy those for far cheaper than what I paid for this. Now, easily the biggest bummer behind not having like actually tried the real GPS feature of this is the amount of things that I've easily missed out on by going and designing my own route. Because, well, for some reason, I tend to rely on other people to do that for me because I just don't have a phone plan, so I can't actually use the GPS on my phone. And I specifically remember the one time that I actually tried to use the GPS like breadcrumb map feature of this thing, and that was actually during a ride like 2 years ago, so even that timeline doesn't really show any of my initiative to actually learn how to use one of these Garmin's for cycling. But anyway, I was in the middle of the Stewie X Supercross ride. I ended up getting dropped, and I didn't know where I was going. Because the course wasn't like marked particularly well, I ended up getting a little bit lost and turned around. I really didn't know where I was. The people behind me I was too far ahead of to know where they were and if they knew where they were going, and the people ahead of me, well, like I said, I was dropped. So, and then I looked down at my Garmin GPS and said, oh yeah, there's like a feature here that can route me back to the start of this ride. I hit that, and it just didn't work. I basically just dismissed the mapping feature of the Edge 200 completely as just garbage. I was like, well, it doesn't work. I read some review somewhere that it could work, but beyond what I had tried there, I didn't dig into it any farther. So I don't know what it was this week that made me kind of think to like, you know, actually go out of my way to really try and build a course and put it onto this. But I think it came about because I saw someone talking about like a ride that I've always wanted to take a part of, but I tend to always miss the start, or I don't hear about it, or whatever, but I know what it's called. And it's called the Hollywood Loop. It's a pretty common route that a lot of people take, but I've never really known where it was. People have described it to me. I've looked up the segment on Strava and just been like, well, I'm never gonna remember where to go, so I'm not even gonna bother. Until I actually saw someone say, hey, does someone have a course made up of this to put on my Garmin? And I was like, well, how does that work? The annoying part is it works really easy and it takes almost no time at all, and building courses is kind of fun. You literally just go on to Strava, build a route, and then you upload it to your Garmin and you follow it. It even gives you this little guy that you can chase. And I know that most of you probably already know about this, but I've not done it, and I've owned it for 4 years. I mostly bring this up because I've always seen people talking about courses and stuff, and I've always just kind of discounted that as a way of going for a ride. And I'm realizing now that it's actually a tool that I could be using to go do much longer rides in places that I've never been before without having to worry about using my phone, or just basically worry about being lost in general. Although I haven't actually tried it, I don't know how trustworthy the mapping actually is and whatever, but I know that it could have actually helped a lot in the one brevet that I actually tried to do, riding across just the width of Nova Scotia from Halifax to my hometown of Moncton. I tried to do that at night, and I was using my phone without a phone plan, hoping that it wouldn't just like either die or like wouldn't reset like phones sometimes just kind of do, and then bam, I was lost in the middle of nowhere not knowing where I was. And I actually had this with me. I had it turned on, and that's on my Strava, and I could have had a course literally in front of me telling me where to go, and I think I actually would have gone further knowing I was on the right track the whole time. So in my opinion, this kind of opens the opportunity to get into like riding more monster kilometers and just like possibly joining the Nova Scotia Randoneering Club, stuff like that. It's interesting me lately, but I want to do it in the like more modern technological way that I'm kind of into. And I'm an idiot for not having known that sooner, or not at least like reading up about it in 4 full years. Ridiculous. All this talk of bike riding, and with the idea that cross is coming, I gotta start getting some miles in and doing it after work. Well, that's like a better non-planned way of doing it. There's like 3 ways that I can actually get home from the bike shop while riding. One of which is about 6K. That takes me over the bridge and just on the waterfront trail. The next is riding halfway around the basin and then riding on a highway called Magazine Hill. The next is riding all the way around the Bedford Highway up to some of the back roads and then jumping on to one of my favorite road rides of Waverley Road. And tonight I'm gonna do the longest of the 3. Not that that's impressive. Getting out of the city is a bit of a hassle. Difficult part of this ride, especially at the end of the day, is I get off at about 6. So I've been up for about sometimes 12 hours, including today, and I just have not eaten enough. I tend to get the nutrition wrong every single time. And I always kind of go into these rides home knowing that, and I can feel it in my stomach right now. I've got like 20K in, halfway point, and there's a bit of a climb, and I've just got that empty gut feeling. It's not going to be the end of the world. I'm pretty used to it, especially when I decide to ride home, but it's never fun. If I just had a little more motivation and up the frequency that I do this, I'd probably get it right a little more often. Home a little later than I thought I was going to be. I mean, I'm not home now, but I know Angela's got something made for me. I'm excited about it. I'm not actually going to stand here and eat this like this. I just wanted to finish the vlog somehow.